It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Here we go.
Oh, I gotta do it this way. I try to match the image. So yeah, you bring up a great point with the the alien thing, but just in general, there was definitely more going on to this movie than I think the casual viewer is letting on. So let's start with this shot, if we could.
That's a nice shot to start off with. I approve. I approve of this shot.
There's other shots that would be better for other purposes, but for our purposes, early in the movie, we see Alice wake up in suburbia, and it looks, she looks at herself in the mirror, and notice how she touches her head. Now, the casual viewer probably thinks she's looking at her hair, when in fact, she's actually touching her head because she's somewhat aware that something's wrong with her mind. There's an image of a reflection in the top left. I can use my trusty little pointer here. I call it a mouse. I don't know if you're familiar with the technology.
I've heard of it.
So there's this image here that, they want you to think is just part of the mirror. But what I actually think is that it's the director conveying to us that this symbolizes her subconscious mind. There's a disjointed element, and that it's kind of like fighting with each other to try to figure out what's going on. All right. Why would it be her subconscious mind fighting with her? Let's move on and find out. Also, you might want to get comfy because this is a long theory. So for you at home, now's a good time to pause it, go get something to drink, maybe take a nap and come back. Okay. But so the next scene here, we get a nice shot of her family in the kitchen. The way the movie unfolds, you're meant to think that this is part of a simulation. But the reality is that this is the reality. I could probably use a thesaurus. This is actually the reality. I'm thinking and knowing, because I know, because I researched, what's actually happening is that Alice is actually just a normal homemaker, and this is her real family. How is this possible, you ask? I know you're about to ask. I could tell. You had that I'm going to ask face.
I think we all... Here's the thing with horror movies as well. See, the brighter the sky, the birds are chirping, and the more pleasant the scene, it's just going to descend into chaos.
Yeah.
Any horror fan knows this. Like, oh, it's bright. Oh, everyone's all lovey-dovey. Oh, it's going to splatter.
When you buy your ticket, right? That
yep.
It's going to... Yeah. But I think this is actually the reality, and what we're seeing is the part that's fake. And I have some proof to show you. So the first thing she says, or one of the first things she says in this, is she references a chore that she did yesterday. She picked up some dry cleaning. Less than a minute later, she mentions another chore. She was picking up batteries. So within the span of a minute, she referenced 2 chores that she did. Why, you ask? I think what the director is trying to convey to us is that she's frustrated with her day-to-day life. She's running around doing errands. She wanted the excitement of being on an adventure, of being important. She's tired of just doing mundane chores. She was meant for more in her mind. But she's got a child to take care of. It's just the reality of the situation as a parent of a young one. So what did she do? Well, it's as clear as a bell if you've seen other science fiction horror movies, what she did. She went for a total recall procedure. That's right. She underwent a memory implant procedure similar to the one shown in the movie Total Recall, and also shown in the much more newer, much more suckier version of Total Recall.
Do you know what? I couldn't finish that movie.
Well, you're not alone.
That was awful. I would happily back a Mila Jovovich-led Total Recall movie in the Resident Evil universe than that absolute pile of wank that shot itself onto the screens.
That's exactly as it was described by Siskel and Ebert, or it should have been. But yes, you're right. Now, you're going to say, Chris, you finally went off your meds. Well, my meds are actually only related to a mild case of severe obesity. So, look, if my theory is true, that Alice actually wanted to have memories and experiences of being a superhero, there would be signs, right? There would be signs that she's actually in a dreamlike state. Stands to reason. So I researched books such as Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming. That's written by Stephen LaBarge, PhD, and Howard Rheingold. We know Howard probably didn't.
Sorry, I'm just imagining Mila Jovovich being married to Sharon Stone in my version of this. Sorry, I'm just making up my own version of this script. I don't think it would be rated for normal audiences. I think it's more internet watch sort of particular channels. But
yeah.
I've got sorry, I kind of went off there.
Colin's X-rated theories.
So I'm imagining scenarios in my head now. Thanks, Liz.
No, you're welcome, I guess. I'm here to help. But listen, so if she was in a dream, there would be some signs of it. Okay. So one of the signs that my research has shown is that if you're in a dream, you're not restricted by the physical constraints such as gravity. Okay. You can simply will yourself to jump as high as you want. Okay, so we've seen that.
Is that really
already.
you're breathing?
Right, exactly. That's a great example from The Matrix again. So yeah, we've seen examples of that where she could just will herself to do backflips in the air and stay in the air longer than is humanly possible. All right, here's another example when she's flying over the Uberlicker. So she clearly has, demonstrated that this may in fact not be a reality.
So who would be the Uberlicker? My movie. Who would you prefer as the Uberlicker? Mila Jovovich or Sharon Stone?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Sorry about this. I'm paying attention. I promise.
That's fine. As long as you're having a good time. That's all that matters. The answer, of course, is both. You can't.
Only the audience wins.
You can't have peanut butter without jelly. You need them both. So, but another sign that you're in a dream, barriers are no issue for you. So when it comes to breaking through a wall, or in this case, a truck, when she drives right through the truck and keeps going as if nothing happened. So that's another sign that she's clearly in a dream. This one was interesting. I wasn't aware of before I did the research, but according to this book and other books on dreaming, apparently in a dream, if you see any written words, it's interpreted in your mind as gibberish. You can't actually read in your dream because the reading requires a certain part of the brain that is dormant while you were sleeping. So we see this in the movie, an example with the Russian language.
Oh, is that what that is?
That's why that's there, to symbolize that it's not in English because she's in a dream. I bet you didn't realize that.
So you haven't watched Batman the animated series then, no? It's the first time I learned about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when the Mad Hatter got Batman under one of his mind control devices, and he realized he was in a dream because he couldn't read.
Oh, really? See? So it's true. So all this proves that all my theories are true. That's how I'm interpreting that information that you just gave. Also in dreams, time works differently, all right? It could be slowed. It could even move backwards. As we saw in the beginning of the movie, it's tough to tell from a screenshot, but she started to go backwards in time. Let's see. There's just another example of that. So we're seeing a lot of signs that this is, in fact, a dream. All right. Another sign that you're in a dream, there'll be tiny details that are different than reality, because what our memories are incomplete. So the brain tries to fill in the rest, and oftentimes it gets it inaccurate. So notice the Great Seal from the White House scene, right? So to the casual viewer, looks perfectly normal, right? But actually, if you look more closely, like I did, there are subtle differences, such as the shield. The shield is supposed to be a square. The shield here is not a square. This part on the top is different. And then this is kind of interesting. So in the actual seal, the eagle is supposed to be facing the olive branch, symbolizing a preference for peace. And the one in the movie, it's actually facing the arrows as a symbol of war. I don't think they had time to make a new shield in the light of the apocalypse. They didn't have time to create a whole new seal. This is just mistakes in her mind because it's a dream. All right. I think that's pretty strong evidence. But moving on, this is probably my favorite bit of proof. Not necessarily the strongest, mind you, but just my favorite. So we mentioned this with the nice tailor and her clothes, right?
I just can't help thinking Batman Forever.
Yes.
Like the two god-awful Batman movies, the suits are like up.
Yeah, exactly. So notice at the bottom, it says central computer reboot. The defenses will reboot 30 seconds left. It was counting down from 2 minutes. At this point, there's only 30 seconds left, and she has to get this entire thing on, okay? Then we see this, the next scene, she moves slowly out of the hallway, and now the countdown says 20 seconds. So only 10 seconds had passed, which is physically impossible to get all those clothes on and walk slowly.
It takes me 20 minutes in the morning to get ready for work.
Exactly.
And I'm not putting on straps and buckles and leather and armor.
Exactly. It's not possible because it's not real. This
It
is
takes me
part of
6
the
minutes
dream.
to lace up my boots. I've good
See?
boots because they're high legs. That's like 6
Yeah.
minutes.
I'm
Now,
hearing
in
you're
fairness,
fully on
like I'm
board.
pushing 50 and I'm old and knackered, so that might be a contributing factor.
It might be, but it's impossible, especially the way she slowly walked out. It didn't even look like she was in a
No
hurry.
sense of urgency.
Yeah. So for that all to have taken place in 10 seconds just doesn't make sense because it didn't happen because it's not real. This is all in her head. And in your head, time moves differently, as we saw before. All right. So the next shot here. So I think she's still at the Total Recall like facility. I'm not calling it Total Recall. It has a different name, which I'll get to. But I think she's at the facility and she's undergoing this procedure of memory implantation. And perhaps just like in Total Recall, there's an issue with the procedure and she's starting to become aware. And I think there is that struggle of her mind trying to figure out what's real and what's not real, just like as we saw depicted in the Total Recall movies. All right. She's trying to make sense of it all. And there's more evidence. There's a lot more evidence of this. And I'm so sorry. So what do you think is more likely? We just spent the last 2 movies talking about how humanity is near extinction. In fact, we have this scene where Alice flies to Alaska to supposedly find the last bastion of humanity left. And in that movie, she tells us that she's flown up and down the West Coast, the East Coast, looking for signs of humanity, and she hasn't found any yet. That's why that Alaska location was so important, right? Well, if that was real, don't you think she would have noticed the White House? She would have maybe stopped by and see this giant military operation going on. So again, in a post-apocalyptic future, the first place you go to if you live in the United States is the White House. Just give it a look-see. See if everyone is holed up there, as they probably would be. So
I've even given it a look-see and I'm a foreigner.
Yeah. There you go. So the fact that she didn't go there, again, it's because this is not real. Another example that this is all in her head. Wesker is more proof that she's in a dream. The way he moves, you can kind of see it here, a little bit like Quicksilver, like you mentioned to me.
I was trying to. There's another. What was it? The Flash series. They just needed to put that dopey sound effect in as well.
Yeah.
When Reverse Flash was going to, they just needed to put that in for him. I was trying to think what it was. I was bugging me. I'm like, that's a rip. That's a straight rip off. Then but the Flash series came out after, so they ripped this off.
Oh, okay. Or maybe like an 80s Bionic Man or 70s Bionic Man sound effect. Oh, so, I think Wesker is a good example. He probably resembles one of the doctors, in the Total Recall facility that's helping with this memory implant procedure. And, this screenshot is an example of Alice's subconscious fighting against these fake memories that are trying to mix in with her actual memories. And she's just trying to make sense of it all. So that's my impression of why she's interpreting him in this way. Now, you notice in a lot of the movie, there's often a light source from above. So at first, I thought this was like a stylistic thing, like a J.J. Abrams, lens flare thing.
Distract from the top storytelling. Lens flare.
Exactly. But what actually is happening...
Jar Jar Abrams, the destroyer of franchises.
Jar Jar Abrams. So what's actually happening, of course, as I clearly see now, is that Alice's eyes are closed in real life because she's undergoing this procedure. And she's, seeing this light the way you see light when you close your eye, you see like a little bit of red through your eyelid. So that's why she's actually seeing the light from inside the facility that she's at. And that's why it keeps, coming up in her dreams this way. More examples.
That whole setup makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
Like you don't. Fair enough, cloning bodies, but why do I have to keep like a big spirally thing? That is a complete waste of time and energy.
Yes,
for no reason.
But does it make sense now that you realize it's all in her head?
Of course. Well, yeah, that's the things we imagine, just for fun.
Exactly. So here's more examples of how, Alice is fighting against the procedure. She's fighting against the memories, and her reality is kind of breaking down because she doesn't know what's real or what's not. That's actually kind of shown as a metaphor in what's happening in this scene where the sky is literally falling on her. This is all symbolism that the director is trying to tell us. We just have to listen, buddy. We just got to listen to what he's putting out there. So in the next scene, we have images repeating themselves. So this is more signs that the implantation is not fully taking. So she's seeing things over and over again as the memories are kind of like trying to work their way in. Also, notice her face. We often throughout this movie see confusion on her face because, again, she's trying to cope.
She was a bit Keanu Reeves in this movie.
Right?
The only person that calls Neo Mr. Anderson is Smith. And
Mr.
Keanu Reeves going,
Yeah.
She was a bit like that because she's been switched on and very grounded character.
Yeah.
And this movie, she's just kind of going around going, shiny? What?
Disoriented because she doesn't know what's real. See, I think you're climbing on board.
Am I buying what you're selling?
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. So this shot here for the beginning of the movie practically gives it away. All right. This is literally the depiction of the various memories that are being implanted into Alice's mind to give her the fake experience that she paid for at this facility. You literally see it in chunks of memories shown in this rectangular fake way. She says it right here. She uses the word brainwashed because she herself is wrestling with the idea that she's not aware of what's real and what's not real. That's why that word brainwashing comes into play. This next shot here, I just did that for you.
Go back. Too quick.
So Jill Valentine, she's a physical manifestation of brainwashing that's being played out in Alice's subconscious mind. So Jill was probably like a sister or a friend in real life, but she's being manifested in this way because Alice realized that she herself is trying.
Don't worry, I have her in mind for the sequel. The movie in my head.
Good. I'm glad.
God wasn't going to shoot a load too early.
I'll email this. I'll email this image to you later. So
I've already got it screenshot and saved.
Oh, okay. Good.
My personal collection's already building up nicely.
So we're coming down the home stretch, but I think what you're asking yourself right now, you're asking two questions, okay? You're asking one, when will this end, and will I ever get to talk again? And two, you're asking yourself, where is the proof that Alice actually had a normal family outside of this procedure? That's the one part that I really haven't given much proof on. So the proof is right here in her daughter. This is her actual daughter in her real life. So she asks, you're my mommy, aren't you? And notice her answer. She says, I am now. So, the casual viewer, probably interpreted that as now she is first choosing to become her mother because the girl needs protection. But that's wrong. Her subconscious mind is just stating a fact. I am now, as in currently, I am your mother. So again, this is her subconscious trying to tell us. We just have to listen. So another part of evidence that this is her real daughter is that Leon tells her, you're more important than the little girl. So he's talking about how Alice is supposedly a weapon needed to help keep humanity from extinction. And he's right. In that context, in the context the movie wants you to see it as, he's 100% right. She is more important. So Alice could have responded to this statement, you're more important than the little girl is. She could have responded by saying, you're right, but the little girl needs me, or I am more important, but I promised the girl I'd keep her safe. How does she actually answer? This was key. Instead, she says, that's where you're wrong. He said, you're more important than she is. She said, you're wrong. Why would the daughter be more important than she is? Because she's her mother and she's aware subconsciously that this is not real. And that's why the daughter is more important, because the daughter is real. She's one of the only things that is real. That's why she's more important. Look at the earnestness in her eyes when she says that. This is meaningful to her because that is her real life daughter. This next scene is the one you talked about with the alien. So we get the obvious ripoff of Alien where she has to rescue her daughter from the alien sack.
Could have been any more...
Yeah, it's a ripoff, right?
Bad, wasn't it?
A Ripley ripoff. I'm sorry I did that. But yeah, no, I think this is part of the, the programming. When they wanted to give her what she wanted, they wanted to make her feel like a hero. This part was part of the original programming. They ripped off a popular movie and they said, okay, you'll feel like a hero when you rescue your daughter in the memories that we give you. So I think this part was normal. Some of the other thing is where things went wrong with the procedure, but this part was the way it was supposed to be to give her the experience that she paid for. So look, what's more likely? Humanity is really on the verge of extinction and only this one person can save it? Or is it more likely that this is all playing out in her mind in a total recall-like facility? I mean, just look at this group, This is clearly wish fulfillment on her part. This is clearly
It's almost
fake.
like they're video game characters.
Well, that's listen, we don't have time for crazy theories here, Colin. This is
sorry, just be being silly.
What made you think you could have a crazy theory that this is a video game? I mean, that's just bonkers.
Who would have silly me? I'm
not ready to go down that rabbit hole. Jeez, Colin, reel it back in, buddy.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. But look, just like in Total Recall, I think she's in a facility like this, and in the Totally Sucks, Total Recall and Totally Sucks Recall, I think
Total Recall and Total Shite.
Total shite. So I think Alice herself is in one of these facilities. This is probably what it looks like in her mind from inside her subconscious, and then outside of her subconscious, it probably looks more like this. You know, I think the procedure did not go smoothly. I think, you know, she fought it. She didn't believe it a lot of times. And I think that's why some of her experience was not as fun as she probably intended to. And I think when she wakes up out of the procedure, it's going to be in a fit of sweating and disorientation like we're seeing in this image from a previous movie. But here's the final bit of evidence.
Imagine my own movie, this franchise. That's kind of how I wake up.
This is how you wake up? Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's very frightening. We got to get you to a doctor, buddy.
I think it's overexcitement.
My final piece of evidence, good sir, is I took it one step further. The name of the facility that she went to was not Total Recall, because that's patented. The name of the facility she went to was called Umbrella, and that's why it's so prominent in her visions. But what Umbrella really stands for, and I decoded it, it stands for the Unconscious Memory Bank Recall, ensuring learned life alteration. That's right, my friend. My theory, Alice, a simple homemaker, paid for a Total Recall procedure to artificially give her the memory experience of being a superhero and saving the world. It is the only theory, the one that makes the most sense. And this one, I say to you, is true.
There you go, folks.